Three illustrations that demonstrate the universe is fine-tuned. Let's roll the tape.
I want to show you how incredibly rare and how incredibly fine-tuned each constant is. Imagine that we were to take our North American continent, we're going to get all kinds of dimes out, and we're going to put them all over the entire North American continent so that every dime is touching every other dime and there's no spaces in between. Now let's imagine that we begin stacking on each of those dimes. And we stack the dimes all the way, covering the entire North American continent, all the way to the moon. Okay? Sound good so far? It's not enough. Let's increase that by 1 billion times more. Now, you're getting an idea of how many dimes we have. That's a lot of dimes. Agreed? Now, imagine I was to blindfold you and tell you that there is one red dime in that stack. All I need you to do is to pick it. What are the odds that you would pick the one red dime? Well, these are the odds in numerical, this 1 in a 10 to the 37th chance. That is the same level of precision that is involved in the strong nuclear force that holds together. If you're off by just a dime in either direction, we don't get a universe that supports life. Let me put it another way. What if I said all you have to do is to get a .22 rifle and hit this bullseye? Now, the bullseye is 1 inch wide, and all you have to do is hit it. But what if I told you that the bullseye was actually at the opposite end of the observable universe? 1 inch wide, opposite end of the observable universe. Now, if you hit it, the odds are not great. It's a 1 in 10 to the 60th chance, and that is exactly what the calibration is of the mass density of the universe. 1 inch off the target in either direction, and you don't have a universe like ours. Do you see how finely tuned this constant is? This is why a theoretical physicist you might know from television says it this way. It's shocking to find out how many of our familiar constants of the universe lie within a very narrow band that makes life possible. If a single one of these accidents, he calls them accidents, did you see what he calls them? If a single one of these accidents were altered, stars would never form, the universe would fly apart, DNA would not exist, life as we know it would be impossible, Earth would flip over and freeze, and so on. He's being serious. And he believes that this level of fine-tuning is purely an accident.
Here's the deal, folks. If you stumble upon a watch in the desert, you wouldn't think to yourself, wow, what are the odds that sand, time, and random physical processes crafted this intricate timepiece? Oh no, you'd think there's a watchmaker. Now, take the universe, which is infinitely more complex than any watch. It's fine-tuned to the nth degree, the gravitational constant, the strength of the nuclear forces, the expansion rate of the universe. Tweak any of these just a smidge, and poof, no stars, no planets, no us. The chances of this happening by accident are like expecting a tornado to roll through a junkyard and leave behind a fully assembled Boeing 747. So, saying there's no creator behind this cosmic ballet is like betting against gravity in a jump off a cliff contest.
Isn't that interesting? It's amazing to me how many thoughtful, smart people are willing to ignore the fine-tuning of the universe and say it's just an accident. Really? So if Mickey Okaku was sitting at a poker table in Vegas, he's just sitting there playing cards, and the house deals his friends, two of his friends, and they finally deal him, and they say, okay, and they deal themselves, and Mickey's sitting over here, and he's like, yeah, okay, cool. Looks at his cards, he's going, oh gosh, I got a good hand here. I'm going to bet some money on this. And he bets everything he has, or everything he can think of, he puts it all on the table. And then the house turns over their cards, and they've got a royal flush. Really? I thought I had a good hand. Now, in his mind, if he knew the odds of the house dealing themselves a royal flush from a single deck, that would be 10 to the 5.813, a 1 in 650,000 chance of dealing yourself a royal flush. That's why you should never play those poker machines and hoping for the royal flush. Oh, I've got 3 of the 5 cards, and you're going to actually hoping you get a 1 in 650,000 chance, really? So I can see, though, if he's playing cards here, and he might get frustrated and say, okay, well, and it does happen, right? I mean, maybe you've seen it. That it's possible to get a royal, it's not that outrageous. Okay, so he stays in the game. And they deal a second hand. And now he looks at his second hand and he goes, oh my gosh, a straight flush. That's good, right? So what else can he puts his house on the line, okay? He mortgages his house, puts his bet. And sure enough, another royal flush. Really? What are the odds of somebody dealing themselves 2 consecutive royal flushes with one? Really? You want to know what they are? They're this. I think at this point, most reasonable people would say, nay, nay. Something's not legit here.
Let's talk about probabilities, shall we? The likelihood of the universe's constants and quantities being set just right for life by pure chance is so astronomically low that it makes winning the lottery every day for a year look like a sure bet. Scientists throw around terms like anthropotic principle to explain why our universe seems tailored for life. But that's just a fancy talk for, it looks designed. If you had a trillion-sided die and needed to roll the one perfect number to keep existence from turning into cosmic soup, you'd call it a miracle if you hit it. Yet, here we are, living in the aftermath of what seems like the most improbable dice roll in all of creation.
I'm out. But no, he's committed to his worldview, so he stays in. And sure enough, the house deals 3 royal flushes. What are the odds of this happening? Pretty high. Do you see our number so far? Well, that number, how does that relate to some of our universal constants? Let me show you the number, for example, of the strength of gravity, the calibration. I want you to see what this number is, just so you have a sense. How many royal flushes would you have to deal in a row to approximate this number? A bunch. It turns out you would need 6 royal flushes in a row to get to the calibration for gravity, which is, now, how many does it take to get to this calibration? This is the calibration necessary for quarks. Now, if you know anything about physics, I won't go into all the details, but these are the kind of, I've written it out here for you, the masses associated with particles. This is really about the nucleus of the atom and how these hold together. You have to have a certain ratio of these. If it's too high or too low, you don't get atoms to form, blah, 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 blah. But how do I get to this number? That's a high number. How many royal flushes am I willing to sit through? Well, it turns out you would have to have 12 royal flushes to approximate that number in a row. What about the precision required to calibrate the energy density of space? That's 10 to the 90th power. That means you got to sit at the table, and he takes that same deck of cards, and he deals himself not 12 in a row, but a bunch more in a row. So it seems to me, if Mikio Kaku is so committed to his worldview that he refuses to believe that something is... Are you really going to sit through that many royal... before you'd say, get away from me, this is all a scam. There's no way you can deal that many... To deny that God, that something has fine-tuned the universe and the constants in the universe would be as stupid as sitting there and allowing somebody to deal themselves 28 royal flushes in a row and not get up from the table. Now, if this happened to you, you're gone 2 royal flushes in, you're gone, right? If it happens twice, you're out of there. Yet, these smart people would allow themselves to be dealt this 28 times and still say, yeah, this is the way it is. I guess I'm unlucky.
Lastly, consider the origin of information. DNA, the blueprint of life, contains more information than the largest library you've ever been to. Information, in every other aspect of life, implies intelligence. You don't get Shakespeare's sonnets by spilling ink on paper. and you don't get the intricate code of life without some form of intelligence. To argue that the universe, with its dizzying array of life-supporting parameters, just happened without a guiding intelligence, requires a leap of faith so large it would make even the most daring base jumper think twice. Let alone a Christian who believes in Jesus. It takes more faith to believe that this universe happened by chance than it does to believe in Jesus Christ as God. So the logical stance? It's not just improbable, it's downright illogical to think this masterpiece of a universe didn't have a master designer behind it. Thank you guys for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video.